Now it's time, snuggle up, little one. Hold me tight, snuggle up, day is done.
It's bedtime with Barney all over the world. Bedtime with Barney for all boys and girls.
Oh, I love story time. Now it's time, snuggle up, little one. Let me read just for you. You're the one.
It's bedtime with Barney, so come gather round. Bedtime with Barney.
And we're story bound. Hi there, this is your friend Barney, and I've got a musical story for you. This story comes all the way to us from Alaska, near the North Pole, where it's very cold in the winter, but nice and sunny during summer. And they have snow and ice, even ice on the ocean. Now, stories about faraway places are even better if you use your imagination. So why don't you get nice and cozy and snuggle up, and I'll tell the story. Now here we go. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Ooka who lived in a village in Alaska. The village was by the ocean, and 10 families lived there. In the winter, it was very cold and dark, with huge storms and lots of snow and ice. But when the springtime came, it was light outside, and the animals came out to play. Because she lived next to the sea, Ukah had her own little boat, called a kayak. Ukah would paddle her boat near the shore by her house. And when she paddled, she sang a little song.
My kayak goes over the ocean. My kayak goes over the sea. Oh, I love to paddle my kayak. I paddle my kayak for me.
While Ukah paddled her boat, her father would go fishing in his boat. He'd go way out into the sea to find yummy fish to eat. One day, as Ukah watched her father paddle away, she thought she might like to go way out to sea, too.
I could do that. I could paddle out and find fish to eat, too.
But Ukah knew her parents didn't want her to go too far from home.
Stay close by now, Ukah.
So Ukah stayed close to the shore. But one day, while Ukah was out paddling her kayak, a big wind came swishing across the waves. Before Ukah knew it, the wind had pushed her far out into the ocean. There was nothing around as far as Ukah could see, except water and waves. Ukah knew that as long as she stayed in her boat, she'd be safe. But she wanted to go home. Finally, the wind stopped, and it was very peaceful on the ocean. The sun was out, and the waves were very gentle. But Ukah didn't know which way to paddle home.
I need to figure out which way to go. And while I'm thinking, I think I'll fish.
So Ukah took her fishing pole and dropped her fishing line in the water.
Come here, little fish. Come here, little fish. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. Just jump on my line and then jump in my boat. Just jump on my line and then jump in my boat. I'll fish and I'll fish and I'll float and I'll float. Come here, little fish.
Suddenly, there was a splash right next to her, and Ukah saw a funny-looking head in the water right by her boat.
Goodness gracious, who are you?
I'm Mr. Seal. I heard you singing. Who are you?
I'm Ukah.
What are you doing out here?
I was paddling my boat near the shore and a big wind came and pushed me all the way out here. I don't know where I am. Will you show me the way home?
Ukah knew that seals do very silly things, and this one might not know the way back to her home. But she asked again.
Will you? Will you show me the way back home?
And Mr. Seal rolled over on his seal back and waved his seal flippers in the air.
Of course I will. But I see that you are fishing. I love to fish too. Would you like to catch some fish before we go?
All right. And then you'll show me the way home?
Yes, but first, let's fish. And while we fish, I'll sing my silly seal song. I'm a silly seal. I'm a silly seal. I look for fish. I look for fish. I swim and I swim and I fish and I fish. I swim and I swim and I fish and I fish. I catch all the fish that you could ever wish. I'm a silly seal.
Pretty soon, Ooka caught a fish. And then another. Ooka caught fish after fish and put them in her little boat to take back to her mother and father. And finally, when she could fish no more, she looked for Mr. Seal.
Yoo-hoo! Mr. Seal, where are you? I want to thank you for helping me catch all these fish.
But where was Mr. Seal? Ooka didn't see him anywhere. So she tried calling again.
Yoo-hoo! Mr. Seal, where are you? I caught all the fish I could catch and now it's time for me to go home. Mr. Seal?
But Mr. Seal still didn't come to see Ooka.
Mr. Seal, I need you to show me the way home.
And still no Mr. Seal, because Mr. Seal was busy trying to catch a very fast swimming fish, and now he was far away.
Oh no, Mr. Seal is gone and I'm still not sure which way to paddle. The sea is so big and I'm so little.
Just then, there was an enormous splash in the water right beside Ooka's boat. A great head came out of the sea, and a big eye looked right at her. And then the giant mouth said,
Who's that singing?
and Ooka said, in a very small voice,
Only me. Who are you?
I'm Mrs. Whale. I live here. Where do you live?
I live in the village by the shore, but
But what, dear?
I was paddling my boat and a big wind came and I'm lost. Mr. Seal said he'd show me the way home, but first we went to his secret fishing spot and then...
And then Mr. Seal went away?
Yes, and I'm still not sure which way to paddle home.
Your mother and father must be very worried about you.
I'm a little worried too.
Well, why don't you just follow me, and I'll show you the way back home.
Oh, would you? That would be very nice.
Here we go.
and with another great big splash, Mrs. Whale began to swim away. Ooka had to paddle and paddle and paddle to keep up with her. And Mrs. Whale swam, and Ooka paddled, until Ooka was so tired. Paddling is hard work. But finally, Ooka saw the shore, and her village, and her mother and father standing by the water. They were very happy to see Ooka, and very grateful to Mrs. Whale for showing her the way home.
Oh, Mrs. Whale, it was so nice of you to show me the way home. How can I thank you?
Why, you already have.
Thanks again, Mrs. Whale.
You're welcome, Ooka. I'm going to stay right here until I'm sure you're safe with your parents. Go now.
And Ooka paddled her little boat right up onto the shore. Her parents hugged and kissed her because they were very worried about their little girl. They thanked Mrs. Whale for helping Ooka find her way home. And with a great big splash, Mrs. Whale headed back out into the ocean. And then Ooka and her parents carried her fish home for dinner. And she and her family lived happily ever after. The end. Did you enjoy that story from Alaska as much as I did? Can you imagine how tired Ooka must have been after all that paddling? And how glad she was to be home. She was so thankful to Mrs. Whale for helping her find her way. Helping people is very important, and we should always try to help when we can. And right now, you can help me, because it's been a long day, and even big purple dinosaurs need to rest. So let's snuggle up under our blankets and And help ourselves to some nice dreams. Time to sleep, time to dream, little one. Close your eyes, covers up, night has come.